Hey, Dr. Christopher. What's up, class? How's it going? Thanks everyone for joining. You're probably forced here, so what am I saying? But anyways, thanks for willing to be listening to me for let's say about maybe 15 to 20 minutes. I'm Vien. I'm the current Division One sports fellow at Wake Forest University, and I guess I'm on this call to talk to you guys about life after school. Sorry that you guys are all going through the COVID-19. We're all living through it. But just make the most of it. There's always a silver lining somewhere. So yeah, just stay positive and know that everyone is on your side and we're all trying to make your experience a little bit better. But to start, I went to PT school at University of the Pacific. That's a 2-year program out of Stockton, California. I worked for about a year, not intentionally. Our program just kind of ended at a weird time spot. So I had about a year off. So I worked for a year in California, and then I did a residency at Gunderson Health Systems in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Way different than California, but good times. And then I went straight into my fellowship at Wake Forest University, where I'm actually, technically, I'm just graduating today after my meeting. So I'm glad to be spending my graduation with everyone here. It's a party. I'm ready for it. Got a bottle to enjoy right after this. I didn't say that. Sorry, Dr. Christopher. All right, moving on though. So I'm not really gonna be here to talk about my program. I'm really gonna try to answer questions that I wish I would have known or got some insight on, right? Everyone's gonna have different answers. So I'm not the end all be all, but I wanna give my perspective on it. And I'm just a fair warning, a lot of it's gonna be, it depends. So let's make this seem like Dr. Christopher is asking me these questions. So what's the first question, Dr. Christopher? That's such a great question. Okay, so if you guys didn't hear, her question was, what's the difference between a fellowship and a residency? So first of all, can you all raise your hand? Anyone interested in a residency? All right, I think that's one. I'm just kidding. This isn't live, so I don't know why I did that. And if anyone of you raise your hands, come on, shame on you. But all right, anyways, the answer to that question, or the question that was asked, was what's the difference between a fellowship and residency? The best explanation I can give is actually not my own, but someone named Nikki Huffman. She was a former Duke fellow and former head athletic trainer for the Blue Jays. So her metaphor was it's all about shoes, right? I'm a big shoe guy too, by the way. But let's assume PT school is like a bunch of shoes, right? You learn all about the brands, learn about neurology, learn about Reebok. So that's like a Reebok or something. Sports, definitely going to be Nike, of course. And then maybe geriatrics is New Balance, right? So you have those different brands of shoes and different specialties of PT. But residency is like that brand of shoe. So I chose to do sports, so I specialize in Nike. So I know a lot about shoes in general, but I really am focusing on Nikes. Everything you need to know about Nikes, the type of leather they use, the shoelaces, all that stuff. So you learn how to be good at sports. And then fellowship is a subcategory of Nikes. So you can do, so for example, with sports, there's going to be Division I sports fellowship, performing arts, upper extremities. And then there's going to be like a running one that they're starting. A lot of different branches. That's just like with Nike. You have the Air Force, you have the Air Max 1s, you have some J's, you have all these different options. So what I did was, I went through school, learned all about the shoes, and then I specialized in sports, learned about Nikes, and I specialized in Division I sports. And now I'm the content, well, I'm supposed to be the content expert at Division I sports. So saying that, I'm good at Division I sports, definitely I'm good at the Air Forces, still know a decent amount about overall, so the Nikes. By this time, I'm not even gonna try to lie, I pretty much forgot everything about the other shoes. You asked me about neuro, you asked me about even some basic orthopedics like joint replacements, you asked me about geriatric stuff, not the guy for you. I will gladly refer you to someone else who's gonna give you better care. But that's how I describe it. Well, that's how she describes it, and I thought that was the best metaphor. So you specialize and you subspecialize for fellowship. So that's the difference between a fellowship and residency. All right, next up, Dr. Christopher, shoot it at me. Can you talk a little louder? Okay. So should you do a residency or study for a self-study for the SES? My answer to that is absolutely the wrong question to be asked. They are two different things. If you want to do the SES, study for the SES. If you want to learn leadership, networking, presenting, teaching, did I say research? Research, then do a residency. The SES is just a small part of your residency, and it's one of the outcome measures that most programs use for their graduates, but it encompasses so much more. So if you're looking for the, and neither one is right or wrong, it's totally dependent on you, then you want to choose that. There is evidence to suggest that residency graduates have less burnouts than their counterparts, and large because you learn all that stuff, you have so many options and you have so many more, I'd say, varied career goals, and you meet so many different people that can help you with that stuff that you're a little more engaged in your career, and you're gonna have less burnout, and you're gonna be more fulfilled with your career despite working more hours. So there's legit evidence on that by Matt Briggs out of Ohio State, if you guys want to kind of start PubMeding that thing. But the answer to that is it's just totally different things. So I think you're asking the wrong question if you're asking if you should a residency versus self-study. You should ask yourself if you should get the SES, or do I want to have experience in those other categories of my career? And again, neither of those is wrong, but that might help you better decide on whether you want to do a residency or self-study for the SES, OCS, NCS, any of that stuff. I know, sorry, Dr. Christopher. You guys can't see it, but Dr. Christopher is like blowing up my phone, just yelling at me right now. I know this isn't live and I'm just pretending, but just pretend she's yelling at me. She probably yells at you guys too, right? Who knows? Okay, but does a sports residency get you a pro or college job? You know, that's such a great question, Dr. Christopher, full of great questions, amazing. I'm gonna say absolutely not, yeah. Based on my role, I have contact with a lot of different PTs, residents, the cohort above and below me. And I'd say that 2 to 5% ended up in a Division I or pro job. And actually of those people, they actually had to do like technically a mini internship or take a smaller role, like on maybe a minor league team or a G League team to really penetrate that. So who knows if that residency really helped them directly. I think it was more of the networking they did. If you really want a pro or Division I job, it really depends on not who you know, but who knows you. I think it's changing now, and I'll talk about later why, but a lot of it's going to come down to networking rather than whether you did a residency or a fellowship. Next question. Come on, Dr. Christopher, what are you asking me? That's such a touchy subject. All right, she's going there. So this question is, does residency get you increased pay? Ooh, you're gonna hate this. It depends, yeah. 80%, okay, 90, okay, 95, all right, take that back. 99% of the time, I'm gonna say no. Your pay depends on years of experience for the most part at most places, in addition to your productivity numbers, so your billing habits. I will say where it does increase in pay is if you're in a program with a residency or fellowship involved already and you're a faculty member there. So if you guys don't know what a graduate medical education program is, so a GME, they are the organization that organizes like physician academic model. So you know how physicians usually are like required to do residency and fellowship. So they're the ones that kind of organize that at academic hospitals and then supply funding and salaries for all those like conference trips and salaries for the residents. So a lot of programs now that are hospital-based, residency hospital-based programs are accepting PTs as like legit medical programs like that too. And based on that pay scale, the way they pay their attending physicians is that if you have that extra residency or fellowship training, that increases your pay. So some places now with the GME that have incorporated those residency programs, they've taken them in. So now those PTs with additional training will get a pay that reflects their training. So obviously residency trained physician or faculty will get more than their counterparts, and then fellowship will get more than the residency trained ones, in addition to accounting for years of practice and billing practices. So it really depends. There's a new model changing out there if you're in the right place, but overall, it does not increase your pay. But we don't do it for the money. You don't do it for the money, do you? No. Read your personal statement again. I don't think it mentions anything about money there. Just my little comment on that. All right. Should you wait a year or should you do it right after? I think I'm a good person to ask for that. Great question, Dr. Christopher, Dr. Shefali. Not a bad name, by the way. But I'd say why I'm unique to that is because I applied right after school, but I ended up having to wait about a year because of the weird timeline with the 2-year program. But I feel like I would have been fine financially, and I would have been better off doing it right after, because like my mind was set on I'm just going to grit it out and get through another few years of training with decreased pay and all these hours. But that might not be for everyone. On the opposite side, I felt it was really valuable to have those hours of practice prior to me starting. I had a groove of my evaluation skills. I had a library of like past cases that I can help with my diagnosis and treatment patterns. So that really helped too. That could also be a downside, right? Like if you practice for a while, it can be really hard for you to change your habits once a mentor gives you feedback. So there's good and bad of each side. But again, my answer is it depends. So really the questions you should be asking yourself is, as a person, what can I tolerate, or what is my capacity for doing each of these things? I think that's a better question to ask for yourself when you do that. There is no disadvantage if you wait. It's not like they discriminate by age. If they do, let me or Dr. Christopher know, report them. But yeah, whether you're older, experienced, or a new grad, you can always apply and you have equal chances. It all depends on how you interview and how your application looks overall. Next question. That's a great question. Yes, that's a question. Again, if you didn't hear her, she asked, should you do a fellowship? I'm going to say you have to have really, really, really specific reasons to do a fellowship. I'd say that, yeah. Let's just say Dr. Christopher was by my side through thick and thin through his fellowship, and I did not have an easy year outside of fellowship. We're all at that age right now. If you're graduating PT school, sorry to tell you, but you're getting a little on the older side of childhood, at least. And there's a lot of life events happening to you and you're going through that are really going to challenge you. So that's something to consider when you choose a fellowship, because fellowship is more rigorous hours than your residency, especially in sports, especially in Division I sports. So that's something to consider there. I think the two most common reasons people do a fellowship is, one, they want a pro or Division I job after, and it definitely helps with that. So if that's your reason and you're not finding success after residency or working on your own or through your own network, I'd say that's definitely a good reason, because you're able to interact with so many athletic trainers and physicians and surgeons that they get to know you. You start becoming friends with them, and you all help each other out. If there's a job opportunity that you know of, or you applied somewhere and they know someone there, everyone's happy to give each other a good word. So that's how it can help you get that job. That wasn't my reason. I wanted to be confident. I knew I was motivated and determined to be in a Division I or college or a pro setting no matter what. And if I didn't do this, trust me, Dr. Christopher knows, I would have found a way. So my reason really wasn't to get a Division I or pro job with this thing. For me, I wanted to know that when I walked into that role, that I'd be the best I could be, and I would be as advertised whatever I wrote to them in my personal statement or a cover letter. And I think I did do that. An example is, so the job I'm going to be at next is in a Division I setting, and during residency, I actually reached out to them asking if they were hiring. At the time, they said no, but in the middle of fellowship, they reached out to me and said, hey, do you know of anyone looking for a job? We're looking for someone that's residency trained. So if you think about that, I was qualified for that job and definitely competitive for the job after residency. I didn't need a fellowship, but my intrinsic reasons, it made me feel a lot better, because when I did interview with them, what they wanted out of me, I felt so much more confident. They are a part of a residency program too. So not only did I know that I'd be more comfortable and probably give their athletes better care and communicate with their sports med team better than I did a year ago, but also being in this role, I learned how I could mentor people too. So I'd be a better faculty member on that residency team. So I think it accomplished everything. And looking back at it, even if they offered that job in Division I setting right after residency, but I got this fellowship, hands down, I would have chose the fellowship in that respect. Division I sports fellowship specifically. I think Jack did a good job. I think with manual therapy, it can be a little more broad in application. So I would, fellowships are different. So I would listen to what Jack said, even if he disagrees with anything I put. He's definitely a smarter one. So I would go with that. If by that I mean, should you do a fellowship, you have to be very specific in the sense that you're doing it for to break into that setting if you've been unsuccessful, or that you want to be the best you can be in that setting and you feel like there's still a lot of turn. You're always going to want to learn, so you have to be comfortable with that too, right? Like knowing when you're ready versus actually being ready. You just have to, kind of, you'll know. Yeah. I probably did not answer that well at all, but I said a lot. Try to like take anything and let it stick to your brain. But we'll move on to the next one. Let's forget I answered that terribly. So aside from all the residency and fellowship talk, let's say you didn't choose it. Nothing wrong with that. It's fine. Relax. Okay, you're doing fine. Okay, but let's see when you're job hunting. I think the first thing you should think about is small versus big clinic, right? So a small clinic is like 1 or 2 PTs. A big clinic is about like 9 or 20 PTs in there. So you want to think about that, because there's definitely perks of working a small one. It's fun to have your small group of friends and not have everyone looking over your shoulder constantly. So that's the perk of it. The downside is you're in an echo chamber, right? What if you treat the same as all the other clinics? You guys are going to think you're right the whole time, and you're not going to have anyone challenge you. Being in a bigger clinic gives you the opportunity to learn from different people and different perspectives, even if you disagree with them. So that's the difference too. The other thing too is really, really research the clinic you're at. I can guarantee you 90% of the 90% of the clinics out there say they're a sports clinic, and that's just so they get referrals. You trust me, most clinics do not see high caseload of sports. So be very particular about the ones you interview at, and make sure you shadow and even ask if everyone there, like, what's your caseload of sports injuries? And you can tell if someone's lying too. So look them straight in the eye when they do it. That's my advice for job hunting. The next one is find a mentor. You've heard this a million times, but find a mentor. Yeah. Just ask them, reach out and ask. Even if that person is too busy, or you can get the vibe from them that they don't want to take you on, they usually provide you a lot of resources or other people to talk about. And those resources or people to talk to can actually be your mentors. So one way or another, if you just ask the right people and find that path, you can find a mentor. And don't force yourself on a mentor too, just because you really like them. It has to be a good relationship. And you have to know that a mentor there is not to hold your hand. They are to guide you in finding the answers. So if you're asking, instead of an example is a good mentor will, if you went to them and said, hey, what's yada, 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 and you're expecting to get all these answers and articles right or answers right away, a good mentor will instead say, well, here's some articles you can read for these answers, or here's some search functions on PubMed or resources you can check for the answers. So they're not just going to feed you because they're going to make you a little twin, but they're going to give you good resources. So don't think that someone's a bad mentor if they're not giving you exactly what you want. You might have to be challenged to have a different perspective on what a mentor is. The next one is you have a mentor. Now on the other side, you want to find your tribe. So after you graduate, I mean, you could see it during class, right? Ooh, let's start a little controversy right now. I mean, look around, right? I mean, everyone has their little cliques in PT school. Not everyone gets along. You may differ based on just the way you were raised, the way you think, the way your goals are, your motivation for PT. No one's wrong. Just make sure you find your own tribe. I found my tribe with the sports section or Academy of Dr. Christopher. Maybe you can tell them it's like Academy of Sports Physical Therapy, something like that. but I found it there. Not only does it help me feel like I'm a normal human being based on my goals, because everyone there has the same mission and goals as me, but it helps me talk because we have a lot of common interests, but also really motivates you because everyone there, when I went the first year to meet everyone at the award ceremony, they were so much smarter than me. I thought I was a hot shot. I was like, I'm doing research, I'm volunteering, I'm working during PT school, an accelerated program. I'm the man. And then I met someone else who was like doing the same thing, but they published already. They're going to do a PhD program. They've halfway studied for their sports certification. I'm like, what is wrong with me? And you just, it hits you in the gut to realize that you are not the standard. There's always a million people better than you that also want to help you. So find your tribe there. And it, like, say you want to more of a work-life balance, that's not wrong either. You want to find your tribe of people who have that same belief. So my 3 advice for what to do once you graduate is be very particular about things you think about when you are looking for a location to work, finding a mentor, and then finding a tribe. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be those periodic episodes of meeting, and then also just people you meet at interviews and things. Some of my best friends now are the ones that I met during interview applications because we just got along. We're the same people. We're applying for the same programs, you know, things to think about. My closing thoughts to you is 3 things. 1 is just show up. Whatever you want to do, you have to show up. Trust me, every time someone shows up, for the most part, they always say, I'm really glad I showed up. So at conferences, anything, it's going to suck because at conferences, you're just going to want to party and go out, and definitely do that, first of all. But also find out when, like, this is worth going. This is it's a once a year event technically. So go to networking events and go to conferences or special community events around your own cities. I think that's important. The next step technically is engage and just ask. So you know how I talked about it's who you know and how that really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you think about it, because if you know someone, they don't know anything about you. You technically showed up. You know about someone because maybe they spoke or you're overhearing them about them, but they don't know you. You want to be in their spot, so you have to engage. You have to talk to them, be genuine, of course, and ask them. So that way, when something comes up or opportunity pops up, they know, hey, wait a minute, I know someone who's looking for that. I know this person's credibility and quality of work, so I'm going to reach out to them and ask. And the biggest thing why people don't ask is a lot of people don't ask because they're scared of getting rejected, right? Like story of my dating life. That's another time. But anyways, don't be afraid to ask, because let's say you get rejected, you're going to be the exact same spot you are now. By asking, you have everything to gain. If you get a yes, boom, doors open. If you get a no, so what? Just go somewhere else and keep pushing, right? Nothing changes in your life. So just be confident in that. The last one is be bold. It's one of my favorite 2 words ever. And that's really, no matter how lofty you think your goals are, and I want you to think about the craziest goal you can have for yourself is it's possible. You may have to collaborate with other people. You may have to be in it for the long run, but always be bold and get after it. Be bold, and then by showing up and engaging, you will hit your goals. And I'm telling you, I've thought about the craziest goals, and you asked me from PT school graduation till now, and I would have never imagined I was doing the things I was doing. And trust me, I'm not like the greatest ever, but I really couldn't have imagined all the things I get to do and all the opportunities I have just by asking certain people and being pretty lofty with my goals overall. So I hope that I probably give you more questions to ask yourself than anything, but I hope that gives you information to take all of it in to make an informed decision about all the questions I asked myself. Yeah, twist, right? Dr. Christopher wasn't asking any of that. But I hope you found it beneficial. By the way, my email is vienvu@gmail.com. That is vienvu@gmail.com. Pretty easy. First one, also no one has my name. But feel free anytime. I will answer any questions. We can hop on a call. I answer fairly quick. I am glad to help. anyone that even merely knows Dr. Christopher. That's how much I respect her. So reach out anytime, and she can probably answer a lot of questions you might have right now too. So I hope you all swarm her. And again, thanks for joining my graduation, and thanks for listening to this. Have a great one, guys. Take it easy.